Well, standing next to me now is Peter Wallace. He's the general manager of the Emea region. Got it right this time. Had a few goes at that, to be honest with you. GumGum, contextual intelligence company in the ad tech sector. We've seen a lot of partnerships being formed, well, over the last year, couple of years actually, but more recently. Are we, do you think, at the start of a consolidation in the sector?
I think we're absolutely at the start of consolidation in the sector. It's important that independent ad tech particularly sort of comes together to create the better opportunity for the open web, particularly in a space and a time when walled gardens are sort of taking a bigger and bigger share of media budget. Actually, it's important for other competitors, other ad tech vendors to come into that space, collaborate, create amazing solutions that really empower the open web and actually better for the consumer and the experience of their browsing behavior.
How tough, I mean, you talk about like these walled gardens, it is a trend in the online space away from the open web. How do you convince companies that are going that way to perhaps have a rethink or invest in the technology that will give them the same kind of results if they were open?
I think there's a very, very clear argument into this in that, one, the open web and the way that ad tech and certainly companies like GumGum is operating is built inherently on the idea of empowering brands and consumers. So actually, we're trying to position technology that is free from tracking, free from cookies, is driving better outcomes for brands, and actually it's creating this equitable ecosystem. I firmly believe that actually in many instances the way in which the walled gardens have operated, they've not tried to create that sort of circumstance that is an equitable ecosystem, which actually doesn't lead to the betterment of the web of browsing behavior and experiences for users. So look, I think it's very clear, and I think that when it comes down to it, brands, consumers, publishers will benefit from working with the likes of ourselves and other independent ad tech vendors on everything that they do.
You mentioned briefly in your answer there, cookies. Of course, we were all expecting a quiet summer, but then Google made an announcement that actually it's not going to get rid of its cookies after all. How's that impacted GumGum?
First and foremost, not a huge surprise when it came down to it. The sort of push back, and back. Kind of see it coming, and sort of testament to the fact that the DOJ is now getting involved in sort of various conversations and whatever else. It was always going to be a battle to actually get rid of the cookie, first and foremost. In terms of how it's impacted us, quite frankly, not at all. We've always been on that path to a privacy-first open web, and the way in which I see it is actually keep calm, carry on. We were working towards a better future in any regard. The web is broadly already non-addressable, so continue on the strategies that you were thinking of already. And for us, like I say, it's business as usual, and that's great.
Business as usual for you, but myself, like every other person in the world, all of us users of the internet, we face all these ads that are served to us every day by this huge industry that's gathered here. But I still see ads that aren't always relevant to me. I mean, I don't want to buy high heels, and I don't ever look for high heels. But so why is that still happening, and how close do you think we are to the end of irrelevant ads, if you like, being served to us in our online daily lives?
And firstly, I won't comment on the high heels, but whatever goes on in the private life. In terms of that shift into finding relevance, look, there is a big gap at the moment. We identified that actually the number of ads that people are being exposed to, which is irrelevant, is being perceived by, yes, individuals, the consumer, but also brands are not therefore benefiting from better outcomes in the way that they're delivering campaigns.
And this was a big US agency survey that found that actually something like only 36% of ads were relevant at all.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? And therefore, just think about the wastage that you're seeing there. For us, again, it's this idea of business as usual and sort of reaching users based on mindset of that very moment, using contextual categorization of pages, understanding the connection, the relevance between a brand and different pieces of content that we know is going to drive high resonance with the user. So look, hopefully we are making firm strides to that point. We are very firmly believe in the belief that we are there already as a business, but yeah, the industry still needs to move further into that place, and start to disregard this idea of, when you were shopping for your high heels 30 days ago.
I was not shopping for high heels, just to make that clear.
Sure thing. That you're no longer shopping for those high heels because you've bought them for your, your sister, your wife, or whoever it might be.
Good recover. Almost just finally, we actually published an article that you wrote last week, very good article, talking about the end of the identity era and the beginning of the mindset era. What is that exactly? Can you explain?
So I've alluded to this a little bit in that it's around creating a match between brand and consumers by identifying the mindset that they're in at a very given moment in time that's going to therefore drive a better connection and better outcomes for brands by utilizing that mindset data. Now, the way in which we're making this come true, if you like, is combining the data assets that we own in and around contextual, attention measurement, and delivering high-impact, rich media creative executions to identify mindset, infer mindset, but then also deliver an ad experience which is high quality, isn't disruptive for a user, but is actually driving outcomes for brands. And again, it's this idea of delivering an equitable ecosystem, but based on mindset rather than irrelevant advertising and stuff which benefits also brands.
And is that the sort of message you're here to share with people, or what else are you looking to get out of DMEXCO this year?
Look, 100%, that is the message that we're here to deliver. Look, I fully expect that there's going to be sort of subsets of those types of conversations. Artificial intelligence is going to be sort of teeming throughout all of the conversations.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about artificial intelligence.
Well, quite, and I mean, you can't really move for AI being mentioned, right, in any world, but sort of AI is going to be big, sustainability is going to be a big topic of the conversation, and look, I mean, it's also going to stem into other areas of the world, but I think sort of fundamentally thinking about that idea of mindset, that is the message that we're here to deliver against, and the conversations that I've already had today, it's resonating hugely and aligns very much with the brands and the agencies that we're talking to. So it validates our conversation. We feel really positive about it.